Hey everyone, Michael coming back at you on the Archangel 15. Today I have a special tribute presentation to former Chief Justice William Rehnquist. I'm filming today from a beautiful Arlington National Cemetery in Arlington, Virginia. I typically would not film at a location like this, given the sensitive nature of deceased individuals, but I have a lot of interesting stuff and aspects that I want to incorporate. You can see Mr. Rehnquist's grave. Typically I come here to see the Arlington House, former home of Robert E. Lee, and also the Kennedy Eternal Flame grave site, and other Kennedys buried there as well. For some reason they have Mr. Rehnquist's grave separated from all the other justices. Like all the other justices are buried over here, and they have, you know, kind of out in the boondocks for some reason. I kind of liken it to a bigger conspiracy of sorts. If you look back through history, essentially anybody that, like after 1945 or so, anybody that the United States or the media made look good was actually probably bad, and anybody that they made look bad was actually probably good in some ways. Mr. Rehnquist was appointed by Richard Nixon, and I really believe that maybe Richard Nixon was like a real stand-up guy. If you look at the whole Watergate saga, it was actually a joke. They've come after, they've let way worse things go that should have been brought to the limelight of the news media and the general populace of the United States. And it's like, that's like pretty much all they could find on him. He was probably a stand-up guy, and I've heard varying opinions on this throughout my life. Please excuse the planes noise background in the background here. I want to start off with a quote of Mr. Rehnquist. At the heart of the First Amendment is the recognition of the fundamental importance of the free flow of ideas and opinions on matters of public interest and concern. The freedom to speak one's mind is not only an aspect of individual liberty and thus a good unto itself, but also is essential to the common quest for truth and the vitality of society as a whole. We have therefore been particularly vigilant to ensure that individual expressions of idea remain free from governmental imposed sanctions. Mr. Rehnquist was also the person that decided to put 4 stripes on the justice's robe. Kind of interesting thing there. They say it was inspired by an opera. I personally believe it was some other type of ceremonial rituals or cultic influence that probably brought this to his liking. He also supposedly used the drug dialectal for many years. It's like a very, very powerful sedative, non-opioid painkiller. Supposedly, I guess, subsequent to back surgery, he took it. Kind of interesting thing there. But yes, I really believe there's a deeper conspiracy. Maybe one of the reasons they keep his grave away from everybody else. He was very famous for his opinion, and he was a stand-up guy, from what I gathered. He served from 1972 until 2005, and from 1986 to 2005, at his death, he was the Chief Justice. And he died of thyroid cancer. He probably was, I'm not going to go out on a limb and say I believe this, but he potentially was poisoned. And I'm not a real big fan of case law for many reasons. You know, as time goes on, a lot of it becomes irrelevant, and just other factors as well. And I've always said for many years that there's nothing more resemblant of hell than a legal library. And this guy probably spent countless days, months, and weeks on end doing research on various things and writing opinions, and it's very admirable for people that choose that route in life. My sister recently decided to take a job with the National Park Service and leave the Department of Justice after many years, and she kind of was asking me for advice, and it's a really tough one. I said that there's really no right answer to the choosing, and she has to ultimately do it for herself. But I told her to go into a legal library and pick any book and read it for 5 minutes, and then go and look at a national park site on the internet, and it's pretty much a no-brainer. But yes, and, as far as case law goes, I just mentioned a quote about the First Amendment. There's one case in particular that I do not particularly agree with Mr. Rehnquist on. Very, very landmark precedent case, Texas v. Johnson, pure First Amendment, probably taught first year of law school everywhere across the board. Basically, this guy, it has to do with the burning of the American flag. And Mr. Rehnquist actually voted against Johnson in favor of Texas. And basically he said that the flag of the United States belongs to the people and the country, and therefore they should have the right to stop its destruction. But obviously he was very cognizant of the importance of the First Amendment. And given the situation in America now, I truly, humbly, and on my heart believe that he would have changed his vote if he could go back. Those things have deteriorated and degraded in this country to an unprecedented level. To be honest with you, I've talked in the past that I really believe that everything is part of a bigger diametrically opposed matrix. And essentially, China is the end game. They pretty much hold the matrix. Everything in humanity evolves from a single point of singularity, and more ideas and thoughts basically expand into a bigger web. And without getting too controversial, I really believe that we're breaching a paradigm that is not going to be reversible. That essentially we've allowed global interests and factions to manipulate our elections and basically place in power people who are puppets, shills, and incompetent at the heart of things. And in most cases, they're corrupted. Like I said, that we don't really stand a chance as the American people. And this is who controls the general populace and so forth. Turn this around here, you can see on any given day, good crowd of people here. So I was inspired, like I said, for many reasons to do this. The topic of the First Amendment comes to heart. Many people maybe take me as being anti-American. I at one point really loved this country. Personally, I have been a victim of being very, very, very deeply suppressed. They've stolen genetics from me. I've talked about in the past. I spend literally 2 hours a week in bafflement, and actually being upset about the suppression of free energy and how simple something as simple as putting a hydraulic power unit on a motor or transmission could basically eliminate thousands of working parts. And it absolutely just tears my heart up that people like me that have decent ideas are not able to bring them to fruition and are just deeply suppressed at the hands of corporate thugs. Basically, the election or the appointment of this new Chief Justice is not good. I really believe we're allowing subhumans to essentially control the thoughts and actions of many in our country. It's not good. I actually just the whole writing of opinions is really interesting as well. If you look at Mr. Rehnquist, had tons of them, and just take a look at the level of intellect that goes into it, and see if the justices that we have today incorporate this into the work that they're doing. It seems like the Supreme Court has really lost a lot of the provenance that it once had. I decided to write my own opinion, and this is how I'm going to end today. Lies must never breach the expectations of justice. Verily, the confines of usurpation and belligerent actions by those we entrust with willful authority will regress heinously into metastatic legions as they have with Freemasonry and organized crime. This should never be tolerated at any level or levels of our justice system. The implications of such conduct will result in the true definition of justice ceasing to have any inherent purpose or meaning, and the integral conduct of man will regress into a bottomless pit. As always, folks, thanks for stopping in on the Archangel 15. Definitely come and check out Arlington's National Cemetery if you get a chance. Take care. Stay well.